Hi, everybody. Today is Saturday, August 14th, 2021. And the Las Vegas Raiders, formerly known as the Oakland Raiders, will host their first NFL preseason home game with fans. It's a milestone that will be celebrated in the NFL and in Las Vegas. And so, as they say, to the winner go the spoils, you'll hear the Las Vegas Raiders side of the story. But what you won't see anywhere is what you're about to see. The real story of how the Raiders got here to the place where they're about to cut the ribbon to open officially Allegiant Stadium. Zenny62 on YouTube has more videos about this specific subject than any other media outlet or individual in the entire world. It not only includes every NFL owners meeting around this subject, it also includes meetings of the Oakland Alameda County Joint Powers Authority and backstory, as I can only present it, in the place of other videos that I have, which, if I put all of these in, would rival the length of a 6-hour movie or longer. So here it is, folks. Here's the real story of how the Raiders came to be in Las Vegas at their wonderful new stadium, Allegiant Stadium, playing the Seattle Seahawks Saturday night, August 14th, 2021. We start with the March 27th, 2017 NFL annual meeting press conference announcing that indeed the Raiders were approved to move to Las Vegas.
On the Las Vegas crew. And I personally congratulate Guy Hobbs of Hobbs On, who provided the consulting new work for the committee, along with Jeremy Grillo of Applied Economics. Again, a lot of great work under tight time frame. They did basically 2 years of stadium finance planning in 6 months. And regardless of how you feel about the decision, you've got to give them, their due. You got to give them their credit. It was a Herculean effort and incredible work under tremendous political circumstances. So it's going to be something. It's going to be something else. And I'm also happy for Oakland Raider owner Mark Davis.
Good afternoon. You can take your seats.
And we're about to get started.
About 2 minutes out, I'm Brian McCarthy from the National Football League. We will be hearing this afternoon from, actually it's still morning, but for those of you back in New York, we are in the afternoon. We'll be hearing from Commissioner McDowell, and then we'll hear representing from the Finance and Standing Committees, Mr. Rooney and Mr. McNair. They will then head back into the committee meeting. Followed by that, we will ask Mr. Davis to say a few words, and then he and the Commissioner will stay for a few questions. The Commissioner will take a few questions and then head back into the meeting, and then we'll stay here with Mr. Davis. Following that, we will have Eric, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
Okay, good morning. As you know, we just finished a very important discussion regarding the relocation proposal by the Raiders, which our owners approved overwhelmingly. You know that our goal is to have 32 stable franchises for each of those teams, and also the league. We worked very hard. We never want to see a relocation of the franchise. That means exhausting our options and doing everything we possibly can to get a solution in the existing market. As you know, there's been a stadium situation in Oakland that needed to be addressed. I think even our friends in Oakland agreed that it needed to be resolved for the long-term issue of the team and frankly the community. And this has been an issue for well over a decade. We have a very rigorous and disciplined process. It's a difficult process, as it should be. And the relocation, our stadium committee and finance committee, further than 18 owners, worked tirelessly on this over the last 9 months or so, just on this relocation proposal.
So, Mark, congratulations, and bring Mark out.
I'd like to thank Mr. Dell, the two committee chairs, Mr. McNair and Mr. Rudy.
It wasn't perfect.
And my other 31 partners in the National Football League for making this vote in our favor. I'd also like to thank Governor Brian Sandoval and congratulate him as well, and the legislature of Nevada, who overwhelmingly supported this process and bringing Raiders to Las Vegas. And finally, I'd like to thank Sheldon Allison, whose vision and directions made it possible and probably never would have happened without him. My father used to say that the greatness of the Raiders is in its future, and the opportunity to build a world-class stadium in the entertainment capital of the world is one opportunity that will give us the ability to achieve that greatness. I have mixed feelings, obviously. I love Oakland, I love the fans in Oakland, and I know that there's going to be disappointment and maybe some anger. And I just hope that in the future, as we play in Oakland this year, that they understand that it wasn't the players, it wasn't the coaches that made this decision, but it was me that made it. And if they have anybody to talk to about it, it should be me, and I will, in the coming days, try to explain to them what went into making this difficult decision. Thank you.
Okay, the commissioner has time for 2 questions. We do have microphones. If you can identify yourself by name and outlet. No question.
Yeah, one question.
We have a question from Sam Farmer, over here on the right.
Roger, Sam Farmer again. What's the plan for the Raiders the next couple of seasons, 3 seasons? I assume they've been playing Oakland, and are there concerns the league has about that? It's going to be.
Well, Sam, they do have an option. As you know, they just entered into last year for 2 more years. Each individual year, they have an option. 19, they do not have a confirmed site. That is something that they're exploring. You mentioned that to the ownership as part of their consideration. But yes, we do. This is an important step for us. It's an important step in trying to get stability for the Raiders long term. They obviously are going to need a few years to get the stadium built. But in the meantime, we intend to play on.
Go here with Zenny.
Zenny, there's only 62 media on this is on or not, but I'll say, first of all, a heartfelt congratulations, Mr. Davis. Heartfelt. Second, at what point did this turn? What could Oakland have done to make the outcome different?
As any, the points that we always put down to Oakland were we need certainty on a viable plan that will work for the community and the team long term. It will be actionable. We understand that contingencies sometimes occur, but major contingencies that put the entire project into doubt are just unreasonable in a case like this. And what we tried to do is work very hard over the last several years to address those issues, to come up with a kind of a plan that we could invest well over $1 billion to get a stadium built there, which, if all of the issues are well aware, we have all the facts on the table and we can develop a plan, it can get done. It has gotten done. We've done it effectively. We're doing it in Los Angeles effectively with private money. So these are all efforts that we try to give solutions to those. Already mentioned, they have commitments to the A's. That is a complicating factor in this because you don't have the certainty of when the A's are going to be digging the site, where they're going to be able to build on the site, what the development is going to occur on the site. And all of those are important decisions when you're investing that kind of money.
With the 2 years of options and talked about getting together and talking about a long-term future together. A week later, I got a call from one of the county board supervisors. Tell me, Mark, I'm sorry, but the lease that we just negotiated 3 years of leases are not going to be valid, and we're going to raise the list 3 times on them. At that point, we ended up signing that lease anyway, but then we decided we had to start looking elsewhere to see if we could find a long-term solution.
The real story of how we got there was when Steve Ballmer, the former Microsoft chairman, bought the LA Clippers for $2 billion. That sent alarm bells off in the NFL New York headquarters and with the NFL ownership. Why? Because the National Football League had no team playing in Los Angeles at all. And so every time the matter of Los Angeles came up after the Ballmer move, the question within league circles was, what are we going to do to get a franchise in Los Angeles? It's not that the NFL hadn't tried already. Indeed, going all the way back to 1999, when I worked to try to bring the 2005 Super Bowl to Oakland, there was another campaign going on just a little bit before mine, and that was Michael Ovitz' campaign to bring the NFL back to Los Angeles. He fell short by $300 million. The difference between the bid that Ovitz offered and the bid that was offered by Bob McNair, an unknown energy investor who pledged $750 million to bring the National Football League to Houston. And eventually that team, called the Houston Texans, set the tone for a new realignment of the National Football League in more ways than one. LA fell out of the picture, and it seemed that the National Football League just might never move back to Los Angeles. But Stan Kroenke had another idea that he'd been working on for quite some time. He wanted to take his Rams out of St. Louis and move them back to LA. He was in competition with a group that was put together by Dean Spanos and Mark Davis, owners of the San Diego Chargers and the Oakland Raiders respectively, to build a new stadium in Carson. As we know, that did not turn out as either party wanted, in particular Mark. And that was why Mark was so very upset when he didn't get the vote he wanted to go his way. But also, the simple fact of the matter was this: Mark didn't want to return to Oakland. In fact, as far back as October 9th of 2011, Mark Davis has remarked of wanting to have his Raiders in Los Angeles, and even went as far as considering a move to San Antonio before taking a look that some would say was a pseudo look at Oakland yet again.
My name is Scott McKibben, and I'm the Executive Director of the Joint Powers Authority, which is the organization that oversees the management of the Coliseum and Oracle Arena. I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy days to come and spend time with us this afternoon for what we think is a very important announcement. And so at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Mark Davis, the owner of the Oakland Raiders.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. We're here today to let you know that we've agreed in principle to a 1-year lease extension to play the home games at the Oakland Coliseum for the 2016 season. This will include our 2 preseason games and 7 regular season games. It won't include the 1 game that we'll be playing in Mexico City on November 21st against the Houston Texans. In addition, we have 2 1-year options for the respective seasons of 2017 and 2018 that we can use. Getting this deal done with Scott McKibben and Mark Bidet, and they should be given great thanks for the work that they did on it. Secondly, we'd like to announce that we're going to be hiring Larry McBeal to join our stadium development team. Larry previously spent 10 years as the Chief Financial Officer of the San Francisco 49ers and was in charge of development of Levi Stadium. He is coming on board to represent our interest in negotiations.
time, we'd like to open it up to the group for questions, and I'll kind of be the selector here so we keep peace and unity in the group. So, any questions? First, Zenny?
Yeah. At last week's Super Bowl, Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank told me in an interview that's posted at Zenny62.com that he could not say Raiders without Oakland in it. And then, of course, at the State of the NFL speech, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said that Oakland was working toward a long-term stadium deal or is expected to do that. Is this a signal that the Raiders will be in Oakland and that you will not make overtures to other cities, giving a signal that you might move the Raiders someplace else?
First off, this is about today and the future, and the lease that we just signed with the city of Oakland gives us an opportunity to work on a permanent facility for the Raiders here in Oakland. And that's what we're going to keep.
Yes, right back here, please.
For Larry Reed, District 7. Larry, congratulations on the deal. What do you think about this will improve our prospects for getting a new stadium and keeping the Raiders here?
I think it gives us another year to work towards that ultimate goal of building a football-only stadium. And I can, in fact, see daylight at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, it's just about us all getting back to the table with a clear objective of working towards putting together a deal that will build a football-only stadium for the Raiders, as well as look at building a baseball-only stadium for the Oakland A's. We have an opportunity to be able to keep two of the three franchises that plays out here at the Coliseum.
Mark Davis' words were not exactly the case. And the question I asked him was actually referring to this meeting that occurred January 13, 2016, months earlier, the same year. The one when the NFL announced that the Rams would return to Los Angeles.
Why don't you go, Kevin, why don't I come out here? Assuming we're waiting. Yeah. Okay, you all set? Yep. Okay. It's been a long process, a long day, so I apologize. I appreciate everyone's patience in allowing our process to play out. The NFL owners tonight approved the return of the Los Angeles Rams to the market, starting with the 2016 season. In 2019, they will be opening in a new stadium, which we are all as ownership very excited about. The kind of facility that's going to be built that we believe will be extraordinarily successful in the Los Angeles market. It's more than just a stadium, it's a project, an entertainment complex that we believe will be responsive to the kind of things we need to be successful with our fans in the Los Angeles market. This agreement also allows the Chargers to relocate to Los Angeles as well. If they do not exercise that option, the Raiders would have the option also to move to Los Angeles, or to move to Los Angeles with the Rams. The agreement provides that we would give $100 million to both the Chargers and to the Raiders to use to help build a facility. If a new stadium could get built, we would contribute that $100 million to the project in both of those markets, which would be our goal. The ownership, I think, personally believes that the project at College Park was the kind of signature project that was going to help make us successful in Los Angeles for the long term. I said this morning that we've been at this for over 20 years. We felt that we needed to have the kind of stadium, the kind of project that had the vision, that had the facilities that would really bring a new kind of fan experience to the NFL and to Los Angeles. And so
But the bottom line is that Mark did not get what he wanted. And when it came his time to speak, this is what he said.
Well, this is not a win for the Raiders today, but at the same time, I'm really happy for Stan Kroenke and the Rams going to Inglewood. I want to congratulate the mayor of Inglewood, Mayor Butts. He's a good friend of mine. And we'll see where the Raider Nation ends up here. We'll be working really hard to find us a home. And that's what we're looking for. And so for our fans and everything else, don't feel bad. We'll get it right. All right. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
At that point, Mark Davis had never said, "I'm staying in Oakland." 6 years ago, Mark Davis at the 2015 Spring League meeting in San Francisco was already talking about the possibility of the Raiders leaving Oakland for Los Angeles. That was before the vote that you just saw. However, the one or group of people that didn't know what Davis was up to was the city of Oakland, and in particular the mayor, who had told me the night before that she swore up and down the Raiders weren't going anywhere. Listen to this.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep the team in Oakland.
Mr. Davis,
Why did you hire Carmen Paula? Well, I'm working in Oakland right now and trying to get something done in Oakland and see what happens. And we have a parallel path going on in Los Angeles. In case we can't get something done, we have to have something.
But Mr. Davis, the mayor's concerned that basically we're working at cross purposes.
Work in Oakland? We're working in Oakland. Why would I need to hire Carmen Paula?
But the mayor's concerned that you actually paid for a video for San Diego, okay, in part with
Paid for it?
Yeah, it's right there on
Video?
the video for the stadium for San Diego says
Yes.
paid for in part by the Oakland Raiders. It says that. And the mayor's concerned that you're working
What
at cross
mayor's
purposes.
concerned?
Libby Schaff,
Is concerned what?
that you're working at cross purposes. That she's
Okay, I think you're making accusations and things like that.
No, it's not an accusation.
So
sir.
they are
It's not.
accusations.
No, it's not.
As I've
It's
told
very
you, we're
serious.
working as hard as we can to stay in Oakland. Okay? We're meeting with every one of their.
So you're willing to put money in Coliseum City if it calls for it, if you get a
We're
work
putting $500 million in the Coliseum City. So what do you say? Is that something new to you? But
No,
we've
not
been saying
the
that for
Sir, it's the pre-development expenditures that have been made, that have been publicly announced on the video, on the economic study that the Raiders were
a
commissioned.
video.
Hey, and the economic study, and Carmen
All I
Paula.
can do to keep the season open,
14,000
okay?
leaves were passed out in the rain that day.
I understand.
What can we do to help you?
I'm not sure. I don't know what to do.
I rebuilt the SoCal NorCal beat. A lot of fans. Mark, just know that we support you.
I know that. Believe me, I know that. We're trying.
Yeah.
What can we do? I mean, you know, I'm not trying to divide any fan base. Every time I talk to anybody, I'm trying to stay open. That's my number one.
We support you here, and that's why we're here. Thank you.
Right after that, and Mike Silver of NFL Network is my witness, Mark Davis even asked me to submit a stadium proposal. At the NFL Spring League meeting in San Francisco at the Ritz-Carlton, and just a little over an hour after Mark Davis gave his impromptu press conference in the middle of the lobby that turned into a Q&A regarding whether or not he was sincere about staying in Oakland, to which he said, "I'm doing everything I can to stay in Oakland." We had a conversation, we being Mike Silver of NFL Network, Mark Davis, and myself, about different subjects. But on the matter of the Coliseum, I said to Mr. Davis, "Hey, why don't you start a task force?" And he said, "What's a task force?" And I started explaining how a task force works. And I said, "Well, you should develop it yourself." And he said, "You submit a proposal." And I said, "I'd love to." I said, "But are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah, submit a proposal." So I said, "I want you to repeat that one more time." He said, "I want you to submit a proposal. Give it to Will." Will's a PR director, actually a PR representative, public relations. So I immediately got to work. As some of you know who read my blog posts and
watch my videos, I've already been working on one spreadsheet proposal, and I want to make it clear, I am not putting myself in the position of being a developer. My proposal calls for the Oakland Alameda County Joint Powers Authority to be the master developer. It can then hire developers as a consultant. But the other point that I'm making is that, and I want to emphasize, the Oakland Raiders invited me to submit a proposal. Now, I put together a team that consisted of Piper Jaffray investment bankers who gave me a 5-person deal team to construct a bond issue. The short story is that neither the mayor of Oakland nor the Raiders did anything with the material that I gave them, which is disappointing. But it serves as a model for how a stadium can be done in Oakland or anywhere else in California and the United States. And one day it will be used. The story continues.
So we have a position on whether, if the Raiders are to relocate, whether it be to LA or Las Vegas.
Well, those are decisions that are made once there's an opportunity, and where there's an alternative. They're far from that at this point in time. The Raiders were given permission by the other clubs to evaluate their options and to consider other alternatives. They're doing that. They know that it's subject to a joint vote, and whatever that decision is will be subject to a vote at the appropriate time.
Hey, Commissioner, I know you talked to Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. Are you comfortable with Oakland's progress to this day regarding the stadium?
Well, obviously you'd like to have a solution. So I guess the bottom line is no, we're not satisfied until there's a real opportunity to keep the Raiders there in a stadium that will benefit them and the community for the long term. So from our standpoint, there's still a lot more work to be done. I appreciate the mayor's leadership on it. These kinds of projects don't happen without a lot of leadership, and she's willing to do that. And so we're willing to work with her and do what we can to see if we can find that solution.
Fill us in on the Coliseum situation from your point of view.
Well, I think, we're trying our best to see if we can keep the 3 teams here, even the Warriors. But, it's touch and go. And I think from the county's perspective, the best thing would be for the city to buy out the county. And that way the city can negotiate a deal with either the Raiders or the A's or both teams.
Do you have a feeling, I know last year we were in a situation where we had a lease agreement and there was a lot of public rancor. I should say rancor expressed in the media in public. Do you feel this is more a case of the team, the city rather, and the county, or maybe a complex deal that New City put together for Coliseum City, or both?
I think it's all of that. It's a real complicated mishmash of gobbledygook.
I like that.
And you've got the public entities, you've got the sports teams, you've got the new city development, you've got all sorts of things thrown around here.
Wait a minute, mishmash of gobbledygook. Yeah. You got me Creole with you? Mishmash of gobbledygook. I like that one.
Right. And the thing is, if we could just streamline this and have one entity, when I was chairing the JPA, I suggested that the Joint Powers Authority be the negotiating entity for the deal. To let the JPA negotiate a deal, and then the city and the county could then ratify it, modify it, do whatever. But let's just get a deal negotiated. But the city wasn't supportive of that. So once again, what we have is we've got all these interests running around trying to pull something together, and it's just really not working. And I know the county's pretty frustrated about this.
Do you have a sense that Libby would have been better on the JPA? If Libby were on the JPA, would she have been better?
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, we wanted to, I actually asked the mayor if she would join the JPA, and I thought it would be good because then with the mayor there, she'd be privy to close confidential discussions, and we could bring everything, funnel everything through the JPA like we did with the license extension for the Oakland A's. We could do the same thing on a stadium deal. But the mayor said she would support working with the teams and trying to do anything she could do to keep the teams here and be involved in whatever important meetings that she just couldn't serve on the JPA. And she mainly felt that way because she felt that was a council prerogative.
Does the county have a feeling that the Raiders don't want to negotiate with us in good faith and they're off to LA anyway? Is there any truth to that idea?
I think the Raiders have been negotiating in good faith, but they're really frustrated. It's been 3 to 5 years. Mark Davis made it clear he wants to be in Oakland, but at some point, you got to fish and cut bait, and think he's getting I think he and the NFL are probably as frustrated as the county is.
Carson, you're ready to go. My question to you is are you willing to buy land in Oakland, or do you want it for free?
My question is, to Mr. Grubman here, is you said that every time you come to Oakland, Oakland takes 3 steps back, but yet in the last 3 years, Oakland has given 4 different developers, Forest City, Colony Capital, recently exited Twin Capital, New City, and currently Sun Capital. Mr. Mark Davis, when are you going to offer your stadium, your proposal, your developers, when your Bay Area counterparts, your Giants and Giants can take the initiative and the leadership to get their stadium deal done? When I want a house built, I don't ask the city of Oakland to give me a check. Now, my other question is you say that you know what you don't know, and you brought up Reggie McKenzie. Shouldn't that be the same thing with the stadium? You hire Carmen policy. Who are you going to bring here in Oakland to be the face of building your franchise that has experience? 40,000 season ticket holders that you have more than when you came back in 18 city council meetings that you were absent at. And thank you for coming here because it's your first meeting. We deserve better, Mr. Davis. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you for being of the 3 owners saying you want to stay here and actually showing up and hearing from us.
Not wanted this opportunity. The NFL has botched this whole process from years ago, not just a few months ago. You have 4 different cities at people's throats, at each other's throats, constantly, whether it's the radio, social media, or in person. It's like we are pawns in your little game of evil chess. You know, Mr. Rubin, after Tuesday night's town hall meeting, you said you don't do dog and pony shows. I find that hard to believe because this is the 3rd night in a row a dog and pony show is here live on stage for the world to see. Sometimes outright low-grade grants from the people this week will hold no sway over the decision by 32 owners. Even you have said that. So I don't understand what the point is. But the reason why I think you guys are insulting our intelligence because in this very phone, I have a long post from December of 2014 from somebody who says he works for Cronky Sports in Denver that lays out the whole 2015 NFL to LA scenario. And you know what? I can show it to anybody right now. I showed it to Sports Writers, I can show it to Sam Farmer. It is not missequenced. So who are you guys? Who the hell are you guys fooling right now? Us or yourselves? You know, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Meeting, and Mayor, what do you think?
You know, it's been a great show of passion, of belief in the Oakland Raiders, and an absolute determination that this team stay in Oakland where they belong.
I did.
No, there were some real emotional statements. I mean, this team means so much to the fans, so much to this city. And while we've got to do this in a way that makes sense for the team, the fans, the taxpayers of Oakland, I believe that the determination, the creativity, and definitely the will is there. So we're still here. It's almost 10 o'clock. We've been here. And just, we've heard people pour their hearts out for this team. That's for sure.
Go Oakland.
Go Oakland.
JPA, what do you think about this glorious tonight at the Paramount Theater?
Man, we're concerned, we're concerned, but we're positive that Red Nation come out strong, express our opinions about keeping the team here in Oakland. It's the best place, and frankly, on the flip side, the Raiders haven't fulfilled, the criteria to leave. So we're really excited.
High five on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you going to speak?
I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get where if I can get by my friend Zenny Abraham.
Well, I'm not going to speak on media, so I can't.
Oh, okay.
Talk for me, man.
But I always appreciate Zenny coming down, man.
Was the passion and the emotion. There were a couple ideas that we need to think about, but this is not the time to negotiate. We weren't trying to negotiate with the crowd. What we were trying to do is give them a voice and be able to carry that voice back, and that happened pretty effectively, I think.
What was different here versus the other 2 cities?
Mr. Davis being here and the mayor being here changed the dynamic. There are multiple people that have multiple leaders, I should say, that have to get together to do these things, and to have a couple of them in the room gave the crowd the opportunity to address them directly. That's not what these hearings are set up for, but that's what the people wanted to do. And we respect that and have changed the dynamics.
So it sounds like surprises this process.
Surprised me more than anything else is the reaction of the NFL employees. Everybody's a fan, and to witness that passion in 3 cities, 3 nights in a row with a lot of travel is already a bit to put people through, and they're not callous to it. They feel it, and to feel it in 3 cities, I think, and to watch that happen, it really brings it home to you how much it means.
Did you know this than you expected, considering the ideas?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm not going to pit city against city against city. Each of the 3 cities express themselves in their own way, and they express themselves very passionately and very effectively.
There's a couple ideas tonight.
By the time of that town hall meeting, the NFL was way into negotiations with the developers of what would be a stadium in Carson, led by Mark Davis and Dean Spanos, representing the Raiders and the Chargers, as well as Stan Kroenke with respect to the St. Louis Rams. And it was during that time, which those meetings were held at the NFL Spring League meeting in San Francisco as well, that this occurred.
And that we told the clubs, we told the home markets that we're working in a way to be able to make the decision earlier than the March meeting, so everything would move up. We also told them that we didn't see any need to have a filing window that was open for 6 weeks, because the clubs that are interested have made themselves known, and a lot of work has gotten done, so we probably have an open window, which is much shorter.
The man talking is Eric Grubman. Eric was selected to be the NFL's executive vice president of properties, but the stadium point person in this matter of relocation to Los Angeles. At this meeting, May 30th, 2015 NFL Spring League meeting in San Francisco, Eric is talking about the presentation by 3 home markets: Oakland, San Diego, and St. Louis/Los Angeles, really St. Louis, which became Los Angeles under Stan Kroenke. This was one of the first preliminary meetings that launched this kind of horse race for Los Angeles.
So your Carson project, just with what the clubs were discussing today in your update meeting today?
No, each of the 3 clubs gave updates and comments on their home markets. They said nothing about their interest in the projects that they're working on in Los Angeles.
Eric, the potential LA 2020 Super Bowl factor with this is that LA could be a candidate for that.
Well, that says more about the attractiveness and the potential of the LA market than it does about any particular aspect of the progress.
Eric, when it comes to the Oakland situation, and I came in a little late, I know you did talk about that. The city said they did meet with folks last month. Can you explain, where you're at from the city? Because I know they weren't invited here.
Well, the meeting, I requested the meeting, so I want to clear that up. And the city representative is the person that was designated to lead that discussion. I requested that the county also be there. And what I would say is we had a fair and open discussion, but it was not specific around a proposal. And so in that, I was disappointed, not for the league, I'm disappointed for the fans, because there's no proposal on the table that can give us something to go to work on. That's what we like. We like working on things that can happen, not waiting for something.
Is there a sort of time?
Thank you very much. I would leave it to Oakland. What I said up there remains, which is got to be actionable, real, and the club's got to like it.
As Oakland is having its problems, the Carson effort, led by Carmen Policy, is moving full steam ahead. They just added Bob Iger. Yeah, Disney chairman Bob Iger.
Announced a addition to their team, Bob Iger from Disney. In what way does that positively impact their proposal, and does it ease any of the concerns about being able to go into the Los Angeles market and tap into the various resources that are available?
I think the announcement of Mr. Iger's participation says very strongly that an NFL return to the Los Angeles market is incredibly attractive. That a man of his stature, capability, and talent would be drawn to this really says.
I think there's momentum. There's genuine commitment to do something, but it's also complicated, so I can't say for sure.
But do you feel like the sentiment is in there that we need to get this resolved ASAP?
I hope so.
We heard the committee voted 5-1 in favor of your proposal.
I can't comment on that. I don't think they made any announcement on that.
How were you the lead presenter and give me some sense of what?
I presented on behalf of Carson, on behalf of the Raiders and the Chargers, with the owners.
Is there any concern for the cost of the stadium with respect to luxury boxes?
I'm not going to get into any details. Sorry.
Bob, the first time you really faced all these owners, what do you felt was your perception of your presentation to them? How was it received?
I don't know. I didn't seek or get any feedback. I know a lot of them. Honestly.
What was that like, though? I mean, come on, these are some of the richest people in the country.
You know, I'm passionate about moving the Raiders and the Chargers to Carson, and I had a message that I wanted to deliver about that, and that's all I did. So you go in there and you focus and you show commitment, and that's what I did.
Do you see any situation where you go partner with a state project?
I don't really want to get into any details, except I know that the Raiders and the Chargers are combined, and they're both committed to moving to Carson.
Then NFL Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott emerged with the Ronnie Lott group of developers. He was joined by Bill Duffy, famed sports agent, Marcus Allen, famed Oakland Raiders running back, and Rodney Peete, famed Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, to form a development team to build a stadium to keep the Raiders in Oakland.
I just want you guys to know one thing, and I just want you to really understand this. The other day, I had the good fortunes of bumping into every owner. And as I left, I wanted to think about how they feel about coming out of their stadiums. And I want them to think about how it feels to come out of their tunnels. I know what it felt like to come out of a tunnel. I know what it felt like to come out of any tunnel. But when you come out of the tunnel in this community, and you guys know this, everybody understands what that feels like. Now, everybody in here understands that that's a feeling inside. You can't pay for that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I've had 2 different meetings today that went pretty positive. What are your thoughts on these?
My thoughts are that how many great people are out there supporting this effort, and how many great people in this community are trying to find ways to better it. Obviously, there are a lot of concerns for a lot of reasons. We're going to try to rectify all those reasons, but more importantly, hopefully, we can partner with a lot of great people in this community.
The NFL was pretty negative when he spoke to the USA Today, saying this was a carbon copy of what we saw last year. Did you read some of his comments?
No, I didn't get a chance to read the comments. I will say this, and I know this. This deal is not a carbon copy. And more importantly, I've been a part of the NFL for a long time. For any executive to put me in that category, I find a little offensive. Because we've worked really hard to protect the shield for a lot of reasons. My brand and the relationships that I've had around the league, being on the safety committee and being a part of this community, as long as I've been a part of this community, I know that this is not the same thing.
Sir, that was a really poignant thing and touching thing that you said about the community.
This is Godfather Grizz, folks. Greg Jones. We met at Ray Bobbitt's town hall event. This was in 2016.
the legendary guy flying the Grizz. Hey, Grizz, tell my viewers about this event, and also talk to me about Mark Davis and that exchange you guys had that was on Periscope. That was intense.
Well, let's start off with just saying we want to thank, first, God bless us all, Al Davis. And because of Al Davis and his lovely wife, Carol, we're all the Raiders today. So let's get that out of the way, number one. Number two, we're honored to see that all these different members of the Oakland Relocation Nation and other supporters from the NFL have come to Oakland to stand with Oakland. And we're honored that Ray Bobbitt, the founder, contacted NFL's finest at 6 o'clock. In his words, to make this event authentic, we're here with Zenny. And basically, this is our way of letting the NFL know you need to build in Oakland. So there's going to be a lot of great information coming out today from different people, our voice, what have you. So we're honored to be part of this.
Yeah, definitely. Keeping it positive, I think this man deserves a lot of credit for being one of the ambassadors of keeping the Oakland Raiders here in Oakland. What are the next steps? And
this is just my recommendation.
Yeah.
It's up to us to impress upon the NFL because the healthy choice, they know this, is Oakland for the NFL and the Oakland Raiders to build in Oakland. So we need to reach out to the National Football League. A lot of owners do not understand our culture. Some do. So when people feel our culture, then they feel us. So to go beyond Mark Davis, we have to impress upon the NFL owners and make them realize that the number one greatest culture of fans and people are right here in Oakland with the number one transportation hub, with the 6th largest media market, and you don't want to unplug all the amenities in Oakland to go to an unproven area. That just makes no sense, whatever. And also, by keeping the Raiders here, they will not be incurring this huge debt. So it's very, very important that all of you reach out to the NFL and you fight for this, helping support the efforts to keep the Raiders in Oakland.
Can you talk to me?
And that was Greg letting them know what the deal was and played a major role. It was a major force. I have to talk about Boss Man Brian Dixon because he always told it like it was.
Right now, it's not really as hot though. I mean, somewhere in the high 70s or whatever. But it's all good, man. Got my health and my strength. Got the Warriors over here rocking real hard right now. So I'm up and up right now, man.
I want to hear, because we like communicate, I want to hear your view on Mark Davis, because you're a Raider fan.
Well, I call myself a Raider. I call myself a Raider. It's bigger than football. You know, I was born up in California from the East Bay. It's bigger than football. Football's just a game.
Yeah. I want to hear your view of Mark Davis trying to move the Raiders out of Oakland and his latest blasts on ESPN and other media outlets.
I find it so distasteful by him.
In fact, can you do me a favor? Can you catch?
And that goes on for 30 minutes. He's a firebrand. And it's too bad that the group didn't stick together. But, hey, it was magic when it happened.
To introduce my friend Russ Rivera of We Stand with Oakland, and the fundraising arm for this entire effort, along with the Oakland Raiders Fan Coalition, with Forever Oakland and Save Oakland Sports and everybody else, right? All one big happy family. Russ, how you doing, my man? Welcome to the Zinderdome.
Two men enter, one man will leave.
This is Ray Bobbitt first. He's the man on the left, and he's emerged as a real leader, not just a community leader, but a visionary poised to bring the WNBA to Oakland. But here, he organized the Oakland Raider Fan Conference in the effort to keep the Raiders in Oakland.
I think the general consensus is that we feel less alone as a community, as a fan base, because we realize that all of us we weren't connected to each other.
Right.
And we all had the same feelings and we all had the same sentiments, but we weren't connected to each other. So we felt helpless every time we got a different news story that suggested that the team was leaving. We all felt the same anxiety. We all felt sick to our stomachs.
Mainstream media.
Yes, and so we
don't pay attention to mainstream media.
so it affected us, and so now, just the general consensus of everybody kind of talking is like, you know what? Even if they get approved, we're moving on this situation. This situation will not be in any way, shape, or form where it ends. It'll just be the beginning of us, and our rally and our march is going to be phenomenal. I mean, if this occurred.
And to Ray's credit, he actually stuck with that, financed the lawsuit against the Raiders, and as I said before, in creating the African American Sports Entertainment Group, is poised to bring the WNBA, if not an NFL franchise, to Oakland. Mayor Schaaf, give us an update on the stadium situation in Oakland.
So I'm very optimistic. We are continuing to have talks with the Lot Group and Fortress, and we are determined to work at a financial structure that is responsible to the taxpayers. I know I sound like a broken record, but the city is willing to finance appropriate public infrastructure improvements, which are substantial, and then leverage the value of that land, which is very valuable, incredible development potential, to put together a structure that we believe demonstrates that we can build a new stadium for the Raiders in Oakland, where they belong, without inappropriate use of public funds. Now, we recognize that timing is important, and that we have to demonstrate to the NFL that there is a viable solution in Oakland, so that they know that as they hear the request from Mark Davis to relocate into Las Vegas. We know that that is going to happen probably at the beginning of the year, and that we do need to have at least 9 owners that believe Oakland deserves a chance to get something done with the Raiders. We have a great team together. This team has great relationships with the Raiders and the NFL, and so, you know, even when I was there last year, the NFL definitely heard that Oakland is a great market for the NFL. This stadium location has the best access, the best transportation, the best transit service of any sports complex in America. Those are valuable things for the NFL, for football, and for the Raiders. And so we are very hopeful that as we get to a structure with Fortress, that we will get some leverage with the NFL, and they will hear the great offering that Oakland has.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Fantastic job.
All right, thank you.
We are all here today united in our effort to keep the Raiders in their rightful home of Oakland, the birthplace of the Raider Nation. And that is why I must start off by acknowledging the many people in this room who have supported our team loyally for generations, for those who have worked tirelessly on the effort to build a new stadium in Oakland, including representatives from Fortress and the Lot Group, as well as all the major fan groups. And I'm not going to list you all, but I got to give special shout outs to Forever Oakland. Save Oakland Sports and Knights of the Shield. The B-Lot Tailgate Group, and the Black Hole. We are also joined by Jim Wonderman from the Bay Area Council, representing our business community. He's representing some of our business leaders like Victoria Jones from Clorox, Kat Taylor from Beneficial State Bank, as well as we have Ray Bobbitt and James Myers, longtime organizers from East Oakland. All right, Tom, you just had to walk out so I could also recognize PG&E next to Victoria.
Tom Garino.
I also have to give a special shout out to my brothers and sisters from organized labor here in Oakland and Alameda County. So let's start to get real, because that's how we do it in Oakland. There is a story out there, and it is a myth that we are here to dispel. It goes something like this. People are saying that Oakland's efforts to build a new stadium have been stalled for years. Nothing has changed, and therefore, the Raiders have no choice but to leave. We are calling bullshit on that.
That town hall event, also on Zenny 62 here, is almost 2 hours in length. You can watch it. There's amazing outpouring, support, and as a number of people said, it should have been done a long time ago. Unfortunately, it was held just 2 days before the vote that started this reflection, if you will. It's difficult for me because I believe if I speak for a number of people who are involved, I have no control over it. That is, we had no real control over what the city did. And because we weren't really involved from the start, all of our collective efforts were not combined into one, and so we were all less effective. I believe if we were combined, we could have retained the Raiders in Oakland, but we didn't. And what that says about Oakland as a whole is, unfortunately, that we lack the overall will and the initiative to complete big projects. As I've said before, and I'll say again, Oakland lacks a large convention center. We lack large hotels. We don't have the components that make up the meetings industry, what's called the MICE industry, or meetings, incentives, conventions, and entertainment. If you think about it, Oakland's basically chased the MICE industry out of town. And those people who benefited from it, if they were not able to gain some sort of employment that was tech related, either left, or if they were older, passed on, sadly, or moved out of Oakland, but to the suburbs, or in some cases became homeless. We didn't try hard enough, and we were too tied up in our dislike for each other on a petty level to really come together to make something happen. Will that be the case with the athletics in Howard Terminal? It remains to be seen. But this whole fact that the A's are looking to Las Vegas means that we still haven't learned from this episode. We didn't do a debriefing, and we still haven't. We haven't formed a plan to develop the MICE industry, and we still need to. So Mark Davis did do us a favor, as much as I hate to admit it, he did. He woke up Oakland, but Oakland hasn't responded to that wake-up call. The question is, when will we do so as a collective? We're changing so much. The answer to that question is, as they say, blowing in the wind. The autumn wind. Will I go to Allegiant Stadium? Absolutely. Am I happy for the Raiders? Yes, I am. Was it painful to be on the other side? Of course it was. Of course. But once a Raider, always a Raider.
Larry. I want to see if I can get you just on my blog. I just want to ask you a question on my blog. So Larry, man, this is of course our council member Larry Reed. How important was this for this to get signed off today?
It's not important to me. You know, the only reason why I'm here today is because of the loyal, diehard Raiders fans has been mistreated by the Raiders.
Right.
And so they want the Raiders to be able to play another year. So,
what are your pros and cons to this?
well, I think the Raiders did the city an injustice. This is the second time that the Raiders have just stepped on these diehard Raider fans that have loved and worshipped them.
That's right.
And now they're off to Las Vegas. And so, you know, I take issue with that. We had a deal that was structured that would allow the Raiders to stay here, play in a football league, brand new stadium, and they chose to go off to Las Vegas and disrespect those who have been so loyal and faithful to them.
So for us to have one more year, though, that does bring in some revenue to the city, right?
Well, Yeah, it brings in some revenues to the city, but also, more important is the employees who work those games here. It keeps their jobs for another year.
Maybe 2 years.